Now, we've had a lot of news this last week about the aftermath of Libya. We see now that not only is it a weapons bazaar for ISIS and al-Qaeda, but now they're having openly traded public slave markets, putting people up on pedestals and selling them as they used to do centuries ago. They have slave markets, private prisons all over Libya, the fruit of our regime change. And we look at this and we say, this is awful, and it is. But what is even more awful, I think, and we're going to take a look at what happened this week in terms of this United Airlines beating. I think it's really key that we understand where we are in terms of slavery. Remember, Harriet Tubman said she could have saved more people if they knew that they were slaves? When we had the interview with Millie Weaver yesterday on the 3 to 5 segment, she was talking about the lady that helps young women who are trapped in prostitution. She said many of them don't even regard themselves as having been trafficked, having been stuck in prostitution. So they don't even know the situation that they're in. Do you know how you're being set up to be owned as a slave? Let's take a look, though, at the details of what's happening. You've all seen the beating where the man was taken out of his seat because he did not want to give it up for $800. They started out at $400 in a hotel. Nobody would take him up on it. They'd grossly overbooked the airline flight. They wanted to put their staff on there, so they kept bringing it up. CNN points out this is how much the airlines will pay for you. They say by law, and this is interesting, by law, they do not have to pay more than 4 times the value of the ticket, and they limit it at $13.50. Well, United Airlines didn't get up to that point before they got physical, did they? But that's the law. See, that's where the force begins, is with the law. The law says, well, you can offer them this in kind of a market situation, but if that doesn't work, you can start beating them or you can call the police and we'll beat them for you. See? And that is really where this all takes place. It's the example that the TSA is setting for people. But here's one example that they gave. They say that there was a lady who worked for Fortune, Laura Begley Bloom, and her family talked about how Delta Airlines paid them $11,000 not to fly. So you can treat people with respect. You can have a marketplace there where you are the provider and they're the customers and you try to serve them. United Airlines should think about that a little bit. What happened was they offered everybody $900. Nobody was taking them up on that. Everybody had places they wanted to go. This family wanted to go to Florida for a vacation with their 4-year-old. They didn't want to do that, but they thought about it a little bit and they said, all right, we'll do it for $1,500. Well, the agent negotiated with them. It's a negotiation, right? It's a marketplace. They agreed at $1,350 for the family, so they left with about $4,000 in vouchers, and they were going to come back for another day. When they came back, they were once again overbooked, and they left with another $3,950 in vouchers. The third day happened again. They left with another $1,000 per ticket. So they voluntarily did this, and they're going to use that at some later date. That's the way the marketplace works, where you respect people rather than using coercion. And of course, the results of this coercion, if you want to talk about the economics of it, it has cost United Airlines far more than $11,000. It has cost them, as of yesterday, they had lost $800 million in their stock value because so many people are talking about this as a total PR crisis. That's what CNN calls it. They said this is how you make a PR crisis a total disaster. They said the CEO should have offered quickly an unreserved apology, but instead he said, well, you know, he only apologized for having to re-accommodate some customers. And, you know, when I saw this, I thought of the comedy that John Cleese did, Fawlty Towers, and he plays this small hotel owner, and he is always getting himself into situations. And this particular situation, I'll show you a little bit of a clip of this because this is essentially like a Fawlty Towers situation.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. Would you mind moving to that table? Could I ask you please to move to that table over there?
So his family is having a dinner, but they're not the person that he wants to impress.
When he stays with us, he always sits at this table.
Why did they put us here then?
An oversight on my wife's part. I'm so sorry. He's only just arrived, you see. Would you mind, Polly? Would you help these people move to the table, please? Thank you so much. Come on, come on. Thank you.
So he throws them out. It turns out that Lord Mulberry is actually a con man, pretending that he even takes the flowers off the table. So it turns out that this guy is actually a con man. I think he takes him for some money, writing a bad check and that sort of thing. It would be funny if that was all there was to it, but there's more to it than that. Because now what has happened is it's not only a PR disaster, But they actually went out and they've got some people attacking the doctor now, attacking his background, engaging in defamation, in my opinion, ad hominem attacks, which are totally irrelevant. It doesn't matter if what this guy was ever convicted of. He had his license removed at one point in time and then he had it reinstated. But that has nothing to do with the way that he was treated there. And of course, I'm very disappointed to see many in the media, especially like Rush Limbaugh, attacking this guy and saying that United Airlines did nothing wrong. United Airlines is watching the TSA and taking their clues from that, because the TSA can do to you whatever they want. How soon we forget. Let's take a look at this. This is only a couple of weeks ago on Fox News. A Texas mom filmed her traumatized son who's disabled after what happened with the TSA. So we get very accustomed to losing our freedom and dignity. B.F. Skinner had it precisely. What you do is you offer people positive rewards. You hold this little treat of being allowed to fly on an airplane if only you allow them to put their hands on you. If only you allow them to do this and this other thing to you, then they will allow you to fly. Sometimes, however, when we see it done to our children, we understand what is really being done here. And we have to get past this. We have to demand that we get our freedom and dignity back. It's not just the TSA. There's a lot of other agencies. Look at this video here from WND. A cop slams a girl face first into the ground and says that it's standard arrest technique. And I agree with him. I think it's becoming standard arresting technique. It isn't whether or not this guy is a bad guy. It's whether or not they dragged him out of his seat because they didn't want to pay more money for it. It's not whether or not this girl deserves to be arrested. It's the excessive force that's used in that arrest. And we have to understand that it's not even that. We have so many different instances where we see excessive fines levied by bureaucracies like the EPA, the FAA, or we even have civil asset forfeiture where they take your money and they don't even charge you with the crime. Think about that. You know, you're not even arrested, you're not charged, you're not tried, you're not found guilty, but they take a fine anyway, and they take a fine that would have been deemed excessive if they don't play the little games and saying, well, it's civil, it's not a criminal penalty, so the Bill of Rights does not apply. Or take a look at this. A cop chokes and then bashes a man's face for jaywalking. This is from the Free Thought Project. Another one, a video of a cop curb stomping a handcuffed man. And as I point out, this is why people are afraid of the police. This is slave trading, folks. They're training us to be slaves. They do it in our schools to our children. They do it to us with the police. They do it to us with the TSA. And now corporate America with their little stewardess uniforms see this type of behavior. And many of them are engaging in it as well. Understand that it's going to be coming to the roads for you as well. We see a report here from Wired magazines. They're changing the traffic lights so that the new robots will take over the cars for you, because you're not going to be allowed to drive yourself. You're going to have freedom of movement. Slaves can't have freedom of movement. So they're going to take away your freedom of movement. They're going to have the robot cars drive you around. They'll be owned by one or two individuals. Slaves don't own property. Slaves don't have freedom of movement. Slaves can't defend themselves with firearms. All this will be taken away. So they're coming up with new traffic lights that'll be more easily read by the artificial intelligence that's going to operate our cars. Or take a look at this article where they say, this is how many Stingray devices exist in Trump's America. This is not Donald Trump who created Stingray devices, folks. This has been going on for a long time. I'm glad that the left is finally complaining about it. We need to get something done about this. We need to not make this a Trump issue, just like some people made this United Airlines an issue, saying he was Asian, that's why they did it. Look, we have to stand together or we're going to be beaten and enslaved separately. That is what's truly going on here. And even this article about the map showing all the Stingray devices that they're being used in the various locations, even that is a downplay. It's a mask of what is truly going on there. A good example, and we're going to play this when we come back from the break, is what Jerome Corsi was talking to Alex Jones about today on the radio. The fact that we're now seeing, as we've told you and warned you about for a long time, the surveillance state turned political, didn't it? They got a so-called warrant from the so-called FISA court, which is one judge and nobody operating on the other side. Of course, they could get a warrant for anybody in the Trump administration, political parties they wanted. They can get a warrant for Mr. and Mrs. Verizon. It's become a tool of oppression. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. and you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions, 888-253-3139.